For the next 90 minutes or so, we are going to focus on what I call building a dream. One of the things I've learned in my life pretty much is that if you have a dream that inspires you, if there's a dream that pulls you towards it, if there's a dream that you love, the clearer your dream, the more possible it becomes. The clearer your dream, the more possible it becomes. And a lot of us have a lot of dreams. And unfortunately, or however we are as humanity, they're not influenced by our heart or not designed by our heart. They're often designed by the world around us. They're often designed by the challenges that we're experiencing in our life. Because if we have a health crisis, our dream becomes, I want to get healthy. If you're having financial crisis, I want to make a little bit more money. And while it's reasonable to want to come over your challenges, I've recognized that the clearer your dream, and the more it is from a place of love, more it is from your heart, the easier it is to manifest in our lives. And what I recognize, especially in the recent times, as I've worked more and more towards it, is that I want to always have a dream that I can clearly communicate, not only to my mind, but if you believe a little bit in spirituality, which I know this group definitely does, but hopefully the online group does as well, your universe kind of starts conspiring for you. It's almost like everything starts to fall in place because now they know what they need to build for you. The clearer your dream, the faster it manifests. The challenge becomes most of our dreams are not clear enough. See, a few years ago, when I started my coaching, this was about 7 years ago, when I first took my first client, about 7 years now, right? And this was before we started certifying people and all that. I was actually coaching myself. And when I started that version of me, that me being a coach and me going out in the world and actually coaching, I found why I wanted to do this. And my number one intent of being a coach today, and at that time, is that I work for thank yous. Thank you, you changed my life. Thank you, you influenced my decision here in a good way. Thank you, this really helpful for me. My currency is thank yous. So I want to collect as many thank yous as I can. That's really what gets me motivated. At that time, thank you, I appreciate that. Now we'll get distracted. We're talking about clarity of dream, but yes, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. So thank yous are my currency, right? And so I said, how do I know? Because thank you can be said like, thank you, and I would receive it. But how do I know I add so much value that the person was like, dang, fucking you, all right? How do I know that? So at that time, I'm not saying this is really a measure of success anymore, but at that time when I was just starting, I said, I would add so much value to a client that they will pay my annual fee as a bonus to me. Just say thank you. To actually say, hey, here's the money that I already paid you. You don't like, I don't owe you this money, but I want to give you this money because I am so fucking grateful. Right? So that was my very clear dream. Now at that time when I started, I used to charge $10,000 for an annual package. Right? Now, fortunately, I'm very blessed. Now I charge like $150,000 for an annual package. But at that time, it was $10,000. I would talk to you about 50-some times over a year, so it was like $200 an hour, right? We all start somewhere. That's the place I started, right? So I said $10,000. That's the dream check. To say if one day I can add so much value to my client that they would say, I want to give you this as bonus. Now, the truth is it didn't happen in that year. Heck, it didn't even happen for the next 4 years. 5 years, 5 years, whatever it was. But in 2021, when I was serving a client, it was not $10,000 that they paid me like $40,000 for 4 days, which was my intensive that I was doing with them. And I come back home, and I expect usually a thank you card. That happens all the time. It's like, all right, so I come back home, and I'm hanging out with my kids. We are having a fun time, and we get a mail. My wife hands me the mail. Here it is. It's on your name. Check it out. And I was like, oh, it's a thank you card, most likely. I open up the envelope. I see there's a card. It says thank you. And then there's a check in there. And that check is for $10,000. And it says, thank you. The reason why I share this is because the clearer your dream, the easier it manifests. My dream was to get $10,000 check as a bonus. That's what I wrote for myself. So what did I get? A $10,000 check with thank you. And it happened again and again and again. For example, just 2 years ago, I was in Dubai. I was speaking in front of an audience, and I said, I would love, this was about 2,000 people live. And I was like, wow, this was an amazing experience for me. It was so wonderful to have. And I said, you know what I would love? I would love 5,000 people to experience me being live. Now, I don't know what's the final number, but what my teams tell me is today we have about 5,000 people adding you all live with us. The clearer your dream, the faster it manifests. And this is not only true for that, it's true for pretty much anything in my life. I dreamed up a woman that I wanted to be with who could play with me, who could work with me. And I have a person that a lot of you know, Nita. She's not here in the room right now, but that's exactly what I get. I dreamed of some beautiful kids for myself, and I have that. I dreamed of business partners and friends to be like business partners and friends, and that's what I get. My success, my currency is thank yous. Today, I am proud and I feel so grateful that you all contributed to this because I have 2,800 written stories. I didn't find anyone who has that number of thank yous written, dedicated to a person online as a coach trainer, and I'm eternally grateful for it, but the clearer your dream, the easier it manifests. It doesn't matter what your dream is, the clearer it is, the faster it will manifest. And recently, I saw this video clip. I'm not going to play the video clip for you, but in summary, you might have heard about the Jim Carrey story, right? Like the story where he says, you know what? I really wanted to get $10 million. I wrote a $10 million check to myself. He told this story on Oprah probably 20 years ago. But he says on Oprah that I wanted to get $10 million paid for me and my acting services. I wrote a check. And every morning I would wake up and I would read this check. I would remind myself to get in the vibration of this like, full law of attraction shit, right? And when he was on Oprah, he says, and recently I got my first $10 million check when I was cast in the movie Dumb and Dumber. Clearer your dream, the easier it manifests. So I said, he's Jim Carrey, but should I try it? So I wrote myself a $10 million check recently, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. Like, let's write a $10 million check. Let's see if it happens. Because, you know, it's Jim Carrey. Like, he can probably manifest. But who am I? Like, I shouldn't be able to get a $10 million check. The funny thing is that recently I did do a transaction where I got a $10 million check. This is the actual, not the actual check photo because it wasn't a check, it was a wire, so it's different. But I wrote a $10 million check and I got the $10 million. Because the clearer your dream, thank you, the faster it manifests. And the reason why I'm telling you all these stories is because we do doubt ourselves, right? We think, no, I can't have that because that person, of course, he's Jim Carrey. He's a genius. Of course he can have it. But anybody can have it. You can have a $10,000 dream or a $10 million dream. It's the same bloody thing to the universe. It's the same bloody thing to your mind. But it needs to be clear because the clearer it is, the faster it manifests. Because this all manifested for this guy. Just in December 2010, this is where I was living. This is my parents' house. This is literally the neighborhood. That's that window that is open. That's literally my room. That's where I'm coming from. I was born in India in a small city called Jaipur. You all know this for online people. That's where I come from. And we were not necessarily abundant. I'm not highly qualified in context of education. And about 14 years later, I'm on this stage talking about a $10 million check. That's not even the possibility for a person 14 years ago. But the clearer your dream, faster it manifests. Rumi has this wonderful quote. Called, "Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love, and it will not leave you astray." Let yourself be pulled and silently drawn by the power of love, by what you really love. And that's why I want to invite you to dream from a place of love. I'm going to get you that state, okay? So first, I want you to ask yourself, where are you dreaming from? right now, your dreams, are they coming from a place of pain or are they coming from a place of love? Are you dreaming the dreams you're dreaming because you feel there is a gap in your reality, or you're dreaming a dream because of something that you love, something that you want to create because you're pulled towards it? See, often our past has this beautiful way of telling us why we can't have enough. It becomes a source of pain. But your past also has a possibility of becoming a source of inspiration. We can't let go of our past over the last 10 minutes of my presentation. It's pretty hard to do that. We can do that if we had more time. But what I can invite you is to rethink and relook at your past, not as a place of pain, but as a source of inspiration. And here's how you do it. See, most of your life, if you recognize today, if you think your past was painful, it's probably the dot, which is a low point in your life. There's an event that happened, there's a person that cheated, there was a business that didn't work out, a manager that was an asshole, whatever it was. But something happened and you said, never again. And you carried that as if that's the truth. What you completely forgot most of the time is that after that, you became a fucking rock star. Because that pain was there to find the new version of you. It wasn't there to hold you back. But when we dream of not having the pain instead of thinking about the version we have become, so we can have that real dream that is actually in store for us. So my invitation is, any pain that has happened in your past, look for the inspiration that you became right after that. When somebody did you wrong, did you get better? When the business didn't work out, did you get better? When a client said no, did you get better? When you felt you were not good enough, did you learn and did you get better? If the answer is yes, you get better, which I know, heck yes, you got better. That's why you're here. That's why you're online. I know you got better. But do you know you got better? Don't dream from the pain. Dream from the inspiration. Because every single time life threw a wrench in your pathway, you got better. So I want you to remind yourself that you actually got better. Those painful events, those things that tell you you're not good enough, actually were just invitations for you to get better. So the dream that you will dream from your heart today, it becomes easier for you to actually get to that dream. Any dream needs to be big, bold, and for now, it needs to be believable. I know this is a counter to everything that I might have said before, but it is the version of you that will ultimately be able to get to an unbelievable dream. The 14-year journey that goes from somebody who lives in a household, like I shared with you, to making $10 million on a single transaction is a 14-year journey. It was not believable for me. If I told myself that story, I would be like, that's bullshit. I wouldn't have the patience for it. I wouldn't have the trust in myself or the universe for it. The first dream I had to have was, I'll get as much money that I get for an annual amount as a bonus. And that dream took 6 years to realize. The $10 million dream? 3. Oh. Because it was more believable then. Right? So yes, a big and bold dream, but a believable dream. For now. Because what you'll recognize in 4 years from now, 3 years from now, 2 years from now, the dream you will dream then will look believable to you, but the version of you today, that will be like, what are you talking about? Right? So I want you to dream a dream, but that is something that is big, bold, and also believable. All right? So, what is the dream that you would love? And I want you to pour your heart to it. Okay, we're going to take about a 2-minute timer. I'll ask for my team to play some meditative music there. But before we get into it, I want you to close your eyes, and people online as well. Take a few deep breaths so you can calm your nervous system. Deep breath in. Another deep breath in. Ask your heart, ask your soul, ask your mind, what would I love? Absolutely love. Not what the world tells me, not what's right, not what's wrong. There are no rights and wrongs. There's just desires and they're ready to be manifested. If that was true, what would I love? And as you start to listen to your heart, you can open your eyes and start writing it. Whatever that is true for you. Stay present to it must come from a place of love. What would you love? I'm going to give you about 1.5 minutes to 2. All right. And you can keep diving deep into it. It's available to you till the time you are present to the idea that it must come from a place of love. It must come from a place where you say, I would love this. And don't justify it by is this good or bad, too much, too little. That's all bullshit. Those are standards set by somebody that doesn't understand standards. Definitely not your standards, right? So dream the dream and dream from a place of love. And the clearer the dream, the faster it manifests. Okay. With that, we go to the second step. There are going to be 5 Ds I'm going to talk about today. First is dream. The second is download, right? A lot of times, what tends to happen is when we dream a dream, and this may be true as you wrote your dreams, is most of these dreams are things we want to have. They are what are sometimes called the end goals, right? They're the places we want to get to. Right, sorry, the means goal. That's the place we want to have the $10 million because it can mean something to us, right? It can create something for us. We don't focus on what is called the end goals. We focus on what is called the means goal. So a lot of times when we write our dreams, they are very much about the means that will mean an end or lead to an end. Steve Pavlina says this beautifully for means goals versus end goals. He says, end goals define outcomes where you're unwilling to compromise. They describe exactly what you want, which is great. Means goal, on the other hand, define one of the many paths reaching to an end goal, right? And what we want to do, what we need in our lives is to know what is it that we want to live as on a day-to-day basis so we can have the things that we want to have. So we can have our desires fully fulfilled. We can have that dream achieved. See, the dream often is a checklist, right? It's a point. I want the $10,000 check. I want a client, or I want to serve 100 clients. I want to speak on stages with thousands of people listening to me. Right? They're all things we want to get to. But when it will happen, it will happen. You can't rush it. You can't slow it down. You can't really decide the timeline of when it will happen. So how does one stay in a state of love? Because if we want to create it as an outcome, we must stay in the frequency that allows us to be able to create the actions that allow us to have that outcome. We want to be in an emotional state that empowers us. Most of our decisions on a day-to-day basis are decided by our emotional state. Would we agree? Yes? Let's have some feedback. Yes? Yes. So while we want the greatest body, if our emotional state is not there, if you feel sad and frustrated or angry, we will go for that meal that we know intellectually we shouldn't be eating. If we want to create that business and want 10 clients, we know we have to pick up the phone. But if we are so anxious, we won't pick up the phone. If we want to have thousands of people follow us so we can create this or communicate this beautiful message that is in our hearts, we have to pick up the phone and record it. But the moment we hit the record button, we get anxious and fearful. We're not going to do it. So there is a place we need to get to on a day-to-day basis so we can create the actions that will lead us to the results. So what we can really focus on at any given time is the actions we take on a day-to-day basis to what we call, or what I call, the perfect day. A perfect day is a day where you know exactly how your day needs to unfold for you to experience the life you want to experience. It's not associated with a particular number. It's not associated with a particular goal. It's an association with the experience of life you want. And if you know the experience of life you want, it's easier for you to create that life today. But the most important part of it is for you to actually know what that day is. How would that unfold? How and who and where it will unfold with? How many hours are you working? Who are you working with? What kind of results are you getting? What kind of food are you eating? See, life is integrated. Your career is integrated with your physical health. It's integrated with your relationship. It's integrated with the surroundings that you have, people who are inspiring to you or not inspiring to you. Would we agree? Yes? Right? How many times have we experienced that I want to chase my dream, but my partner, I hear smiles. Their partners are not in the room, clearly. I want to have the dream, but my partner, right? I want to do this, but my manager. I want to do this big, but my physical body, right? That's because we were not able to create that perfect day, and it needs that integration of everything to come together, because that's how our emotional state is defined. You can't be happy and excited to work till late if your partner is dragging you down. You can't be happy and excited if your body is dragging you down. You need all of it to come in line to create that beautiful life that you imagine. And that is why when we define our perfect day, we want to integrate all of it, or as much of it as possible. So I'm going to give you some guiding questions. And what I want you to do is write your perfect day. Now, we will only have 5 minutes to write it, but hopefully we'll get as much possible as done. As much as possible, okay? We'll get done as much as possible. Cool? So here are some guiding questions to write your perfect day. And know that as you write and as you download this perfect day, you'll find that a lot of things that you want in your perfect day are already true for you right now. Or can be true for you, and it's probably just one difficult conversation away. Or one controversial conversation away, or one, important conversation away, however you want to frame it. Okay? So here are some guiding questions. What time do you wake up? Where do you wake up? And what is the weather like? Do you have a morning routine? Do you not have a morning routine? If so, what does your morning routine consist of? If you like routines. Some people don't like morning routines, and that's okay too. It's your perfect day, not mine. What types of activities do you do throughout the day? How long are you spending on each activity? What do you eat and drink throughout the day? Where do you eat and drink? And are you alone, or are you with other people? Do you have friends? No, do you rather have it all by yourself? All is good, but do you know these answers? Do you do any exercise? And if so, what type and how long? Do you see anyone else in the day? If so, who? And what do you do together? Do you have an evening routine? If so, what does it consist of? And what time do you go to bed? And how do you feel as you lie down on your bed? Now, these questions are just some directive questions. It's your perfect day. Seek the answer you need to seek. The intent or the outcome that you want is, as you write your perfect day, as you unfold it, I want your smiles to become bigger and bigger and bigger. I want your heart to become fuller, fuller, and fuller. Because it feels like this is what I would absolutely love. And I want you to imagine as if this day is possible much sooner than the big outcomes, big dreams that you might have written. Because in more alignment you are with your perfect day, the faster your dream's going to manifest. Okay? All right, with that, let's have some soft music playing for everybody online and here. We have about 5 minutes to write your perfect day. Knowing your perfect day is a great way to find how to get into that state on a day-to-day basis so you can keep creating on an everyday basis. Your dream is not something that will just happen one day. If we haven't recognized that until now, but there is action that will need to be taken for your mind, for the universe, for this partnership to happen. Something needs to happen on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. And you're capable of creating it. The challenge is the emotions, the distractions, the people around us. They come in the way because they're pushing their own agenda. And that's okay. They're trying to create their dream life as well. But when we start to lean into our perfect day and start creating it today, we can then start to see that as we lean more and more into that perfect day, the easier and easier our actions become. And because it's easier to take that action, it also becomes a really good partnership between us and the universe. One thing that we all know, and I'm sure we have experienced at different levels in our lives, is that universe is always conspiring to create our life. But if we don't focus on the life we create and we keep focusing on the life we don't want, it keeps creating the life we don't want. Because it thinks that that's what it wants, that's what you want. So the more our focus becomes on our perfect day every day, the more easier it gets for us to create it. Which brings me to the third D. And the third D gets difficult for some of us. And that is direct and decide. Direct and decide. There are moments in our lives where we get really present to a direction we want to go, and we actually say and commit ourselves to say, I'm going to go in this direction. You decide to actually do something about it. A few years ago, my daughter was born. Her name's Isla. And 3 years ago, she was born, right around this time. And as she was born, of course, it was the joy of my life. And my wife was taking care of her pretty much all the time. And so one day I was like, all right, I'm going to take our son out. It was hot summer in Austin. I live in Austin, Texas. Anybody knows how hot that gets? Yeah, it gets hot. It gets hot. Like it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit every day, pretty much for like 2 months straight. So it's pretty hot. So I'm like, all right, it's fine. He's a kid. I'm a kid. We're going to go out. We're going to play. So I take him out, and we go to this park nearby. It's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know what was on me that I thought it was a good idea. But I said, let's go out play, right? Let's burn off some energy. So we are like, relax a little bit for the evening. So we go out and play. And so we get to the park, and I say, let's go. Let's play tag, right? Great game. My son was 3 years old. He would love playing it. Awesome. Let's do it. So we go tag. And then Ari goes, tag. And then I go, tag. And then we play tag like beautifully, and we are having so much fun, only to realize that in about a couple of minutes, I go, all right, great game, buddy. Great game. And he goes, I'm not done yet. I'm like, yeah, but, we've been playing for a minute. It's good. It's good. We, tired. Let's go to bed. Nap time. He's like, no, I'm not tired. I don't want to go nap time. I'm like, dude, what is up with this kid? It's too much energy. He must have been inspired by his mother. And he goes, no, I'm not tired. And I was like, but buddy, I'm tired. I'm really tired. I think let's take a break, okay? Let's take a break. Let's sit in the shadow, maybe get a drink or something. Let's take a break. And he goes, Dada, you're always tired. And moments like these is where all our priorities reconfigure, right? When a 3-year-old tells you a thing that you probably knew is true in your heart, but you never wanted to see it, you never wanted to feel it, and suddenly a child tells you something and you go, kind of true. Kind of true. Now, in that moment, I could have made two decisions. I could have said, I'm not sleeping in the night. You don't know how this is like. Your sister is up all the time, right? So what if she's the mother? We both do this nights thing, right? Parents, right? As much as dads are criticized, if it's a good, decent dad, which I think I am, you are also up with your wife. So you're also not sleeping. I'm like, what are you talking about? So that could have been a great excuse for me to not do anything about it, right? Yes? Do we get moments like this in our life where we see, yeah, it is, but you don't understand? Right? True for us? Where somebody else's comment is ignored, or some learning from the universe, which I thought this was because it was a 3-year-old telling you something. It was probably a message from the universe for me. You ignore, though. Right? Because we think, you don't know anything. You don't know anything about my life. You know how hard I work for you? Or I could have decided something. Or I could have made that decision and said, you know what? Maybe you are right. Maybe I do need to change some things around here. Maybe I am always tired. And maybe it's a wake-up call I needed. See, we all need those wake-up calls in our lives. We all need those recognitions in our lives sometimes so we can really hear of what's really important. What's really important to you right now? What's the decision that you will make? What's the focus that you will bring? That dream that you wrote, that perfect day that you wrote, can just be another exercise that you did at another event. And it'll mean nothing. Or you can decide that this is that moment, this is that message from the universe in a hat. That is here to remind you that you can decide right about now. Now, after he told me that you're always tired, it wasn't that the next day I was not tired. It took me on a health journey. But what I can proudly say in the last 3 years, at least 2 years, he's never had a problem with Dad being tired. He might be tired, but Dad doesn't get tired. Because it's moments like this, moments like these that will happen over the weekend, is where you will get to decide, where you will get to commit. But will you commit and will you decide? Will be up to you. Now, I can't give you a framework to really decide what's true for you, what's important to you in life, but what I can give you is a way to decide on where to begin. At least from a place of understanding how to prioritize in your career. So we're going to switch a little bit. While I've had you dream your entire life, while I've had you dream your perfect day, and that may include career and a lot more than that, we're going to bring our focus to our careers right now. Career as a coach. Entrepreneurship, however you like to look at it. I like to call it a career because it's an opportunity for you to either make it a full-time career or a part-time career. You can become a millionaire becoming a coach, or you can make $5,000 extra every month. Either of them is right. It's depending on what you want for your life, what you will choose. Right? So I'm going to call it a career. But how to decide what's important to you in career, I can help you give that framework pretty easily. Okay, there are 4 key determinants for any career decision of what you will do. So if over the weekend you go, you know what, I want to double down on social media because you love Natalie's presentation, you're like, that's me. How to decide if this is for you from a practical, pragmatic point of view. I'll give you that framework. If you decide, no, I want to go out to events because that's how I want to create my abundance, I'll give you a framework, same 4 variables for you to decide if that is for you. If at any point you're like, no, I want to be like Lisa Nichols and go, yes, yes, then I'll give you the 4 factors that help you define if that is for you or not. Will that be cool? Yes? Yes, yes? For the ones who have no idea what this is, you'll learn tomorrow. Don't worry, Lisa's, I'm sure, is going to do this. Right? Here are the 4 factors. Okay? The first is called leverage. Sorry. It showed the second factor too, which is ease. But I'll talk about leverage first. First of all, everything in your life right now, while you may think has no leverage, has some leverage. What does that mean? You are not starting today. That is probably the #1 wrong belief a coach has. I am new to this career. I am just starting out. You weren't born today. You got to this place. You have 20, 30, 40, 50 years of life that has happened for you. You have leverage in your phone book. You have leverage in your friend network. You have leverage in your skills and abilities. You have tons of leverage. You know people. You know things. You have capabilities. You can use that leverage much faster than saying, I'm a new coach. I have to start from zero. What do I do? You do not start from zero. You never start from zero. You have leverage. What's your leverage? Whatever decision you're about to make, how do you rate yourself on that leverage? Remember, you are not coming here today. You got here because of all the experiences you had. You chose a career. If you didn't realize this until now, you chose a career that is obnoxious as, I'm going to go and change people's lives. Do you know how much heart it takes to say something like that? Do you understand and recognize how much love you have for you to be able to say something like that? It is insane what you're trying to do. It's a good thing because the world needs it, but it's still fucking insane. But that means you have all the love, all the heart, all the capabilities, and probably all the leverage you need to get started if you would give it the due credit it deserves. You have leverage. You need to be able to identify it, which is a thing, but whenever you rate your ideas, whenever you are deciding, ask, do I have leverage in this? And then, is it easy enough? I know, everybody says hard work and work really hard. What is this guy talking about? Yes, life is hard. Your career is going to be hard. Things are hard around us all the time, which is why you see what is easy so you can get started. Most of us don't get started because the first day we start learning to climb, we say, I'm going to go for Everest. No, take a hike first. It's all right. There is no rush. There is no rush. Recognize that you are all about to live to about 100. You are, think about it, look around you. You're coaches. You invest in health. You invest in mindset. You invest in emotions. You invest in everything that every human on this planet hopes they invest in. You are doing it. That's your frame of reference. That's your setup. You are a coach. You chose this. That effectively means you are very, very likely to live very, very long. I am hoping I will hit 100, right? Let's say you're going to hit 100 too, because you're better than me anyways. I just got the mic. So let's say you're going to hit 100. How old are you right now? 30, 40, 50, 60. Even if you're 60, you got 40 years to go. 70, you got 30 more years to go. You don't have to do the hardest thing. Get started. Do the easy so you can get started, so you don't doubt yourself. So you don't wonder, oh, will this work or not? Get started. Getting started is so much better than getting started right way or waiting for one day to get started the right way. Get started. You already won. That's the second variable. You want to find leverage. You want to see if it's high leverage. You want to see if it's easy or easier than the other things that you have as options so you can get started. Then you want to see how risky it is. Did that come up? It just comes up together. How risky it is. See, again, one more factor that plays into is when you take a big risk. You say, I'm going to take all my life savings and I'm going to put into this business, this career that I have. That's risky. That's inviting fear, real present danger. You don't want to take high risk because you're in the long game. You're also in the game which you don't fully understand yet. Even if you understand a little bit of it, you don't understand as much of it. So it's risky. You want to mitigate your risk. You want to take a low risk game first. You want to play the decision that has lower risk than the other decisions that you might have to make. And lastly, it's important that it has some return for you. Right? That you can predict that if I do this, I can look at about this much return. So, high leverage, high ease, low risk, high return. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yes. Awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our decisions and we're going to put it into a map, something like this. Right? All the different ideas that you have around your business. And you can do this right now, right? You might have 1,000 ideas that you came in with, I should do this and this and this and this. And you will get these ideas over the weekend. You'll get these ideas from your community members online or live here with people that you talk to other people because you'll be like, oh, that person's doing that. That sounds cool. I should do that. Or something like that will happen all the time, right? Because you're a curious person, right? So you'll get all these ideas. And that's exactly where overwhelm comes in because you think you need to do it all. You don't need to do it all. You need one good idea. Not even a great idea, just a good enough idea. So we can start the movement. We can start that change. We can start building that career, because once we start, we will get returns. We will be able to take higher risk. We will do harder things, and we can work even if we have no leverage. But when we start, when we haven't hit our first $500,000, this is your way to evaluate. Take this sheet, write all your ideas out. Rate all your ideas on these 4 factors on a scale of 1 to 5. Higher, more leverage, higher the number. More ease, higher the number. More risk, lower the number. Okay? Risk is the inverse. And higher return, higher the number. And then you total these numbers up and you reject every idea that is under 17. Right? When you total it up, as your 5, 5, 2, 1, whatever it is, right? Lower the number. Anything under 17, you don't pursue that idea. Just don't. Right? And then, based on whichever idea gets a 20, of course, that's the first. If not, then it is 19, 18, whatever. But below 17, you're not doing it. As your business grows, these thresholds become lesser because your capability to take risk becomes higher. Make sense? Say yes? Yes. Amazing. Cool. Let's take a quick note. I'm going to give you about 60 seconds to write what note you want to write so you can make this actionable. Okay? You can also lean in to answer this question for yourself, which is, what will you decide to focus on today? And by today, it means right now, in this moment of time in your life. Which area of your career will you focus on first? All right, so we are going to do 5 Ds. We have done 3 Ds as of now. We are at dream, then we download, which is the perfect day, and then we went to direct and decide. The next is delete. Delete. See, I want to tell you a fable for it so you can understand what I'm trying to say. See, once upon a time, what happened was there was a man, and he was a really good craftsman. He could make anything out of anything. And he was walking, and he saw a river on the way. And he didn't have a boat, but he wanted to cross the river. So he said, okay, I can probably find some log of wood and some twigs and all that different stuff. And he picks up all the log of woods and twigs and ties them together, makes a little boat, dinky boat for himself, raft, you can say, and then crosses the river. And he crosses the river, he gets to the other side, and he goes, ooh, what if there was, another river on the way? He said, you know what? I'm just going to carry this. So he unties everything, picks it up, and starts walking. Walking. He walks half a mile, there's no river. He walks a mile, there's no river. Walks 2 miles, there's no river. 5 miles, no river. But he's like, what if there's a river in the future? I cannot let this go. And he keeps walking, and he gets to 10 miles, and he sees a village. He says, oh, a village. And he walks into the village, and everybody sees him with this lug of wood and all this stuff that he's carrying, and they go, where are you going? They're like, oh, I was crossing the river, I needed stuff, and then I just thought maybe there's another river, and so I'm just going to carry it. They said, well, we can tell you there's no river for another 5-10 miles, so you can have a rest, you can put the lugs down, and have a meal, and then you can leave it here. You don't have to worry unless you're going further than that. And he goes, I don't know where I'm going per se, really, so I'm going to have a meal, I'm going to rest up, and then he picks up the log of woods, and he keeps walking. And he keeps walking for 5 miles and 10 miles and 15 miles and 20 miles, and that person's still walking. Because that person is us. See, there were things in our life we needed to learn, lessons we had, stories we needed, mindsets we wanted, skill sets we wanted, and we think we need to carry them around at all times because maybe one day this lesson will be useful. There's the baggages we tend to carry because maybe one day, I will have use for this. So I must have my guard up at all times. I must block anybody or anything that I might be receiving because, that might not be true because that was not true then. How can it be true now? We all tend to be like this man who's carrying this stuff with us. We carry ideas with us. We carry mindsets with us. We carry strategies with us that don't work anymore. They are not useful anymore. But we carry because maybe one day I'll need it. I'll save that software. I'll use that, packaging worksheet that I got 17,000 years ago. Because maybe one day, one day, that website that is not useful anymore, but one day, who knows, you know? Because one day, right? There's a beautiful quote from Buddha which says, in the end, only three things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things that are not meant for you. I want to show you something. I'm a little proud about this, and I was testing this out with my son this morning. His name is Ari, and he's 5 now, right? And there was a class that was happening in our neighborhood, which is an intuition class. We're like, we are weird people. We send our kids to weird things. Like, yeah, let him do the intuition class. And he goes for this 2-day workshop for like 4 hours a day. It's not even a long class. So he goes to this workshop, and me and Nita had left for the event, so we didn't get a chance to actually see him. We saw him do it this morning, but we didn't get a chance to go with him to the class. So we got this video one day. It's like, hey, look at how Ari is doing. And what he does is nothing less than fascinating. I was it took me 10 minutes today to recognize how amazing we all are, and we forget. So here's what he does in this class, in this video, what you'll watch him do, because it's not super audible. You will watch it, but you might not hear it. Is basically he's blindfolded, and another kid picks a really random card from a deck. He does not know the deck. He does not know the card. The kid's going to hand him that card. This is not a card where you can scrub around it. It's like plain, it's a printout. He touches that card. He'll first say the color that is on the card, which is impossible for him to see. Then he will identify a part of that thing, and then he will even tell the animal that is on the card. Okay, let's check it out. Can you get the volume?
Okay, so we will move on to the next activity. Okay, so this one, you want to move on to the next activity? Okay, this one, so who's going to go first? Okay, so who's going to go first?
So it was not super audible, but he first says brown, then he says claws, and then he says a bear. Right? Because that's what he had. Yeah. And the reason why I wanted to show this video to you, I think he's special. Of course, all kids are. But all of us were probably like this, one way or another. But something in our lives created a disruption in our beingness. Something in our lives happened, and we started to doubt what we are capable of, including for what our heart says. And that's what we need to let go. We need to chip away all those barriers, all those instructions, all those judgments, all those beliefs that were given to us that we thought were useful because it was done by or said by somebody that we thought was better or smarter than us. But all they knew was best they knew. They didn't know us. I don't know Ari. I know him, but I don't know him. Only he knows him. Only you know you. So all those stories that have been holding us, all those things that we need to finally release so we can have our wings, so we can fly, we need to let them go. Okay? We need to let go the desire for complexity. We think, oh, it's a business, it's a career, it needs to be complex. How can it be easy? Because it satisfies curiosity. And we are curious people. Look at the career we chose. Right? We are curious. And so we want to know everything. I want to know this, and 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 I want to know everything. Because it satisfies our curiosity. It satisfies our fear of missing out. Curiosity is phenomenal and amazing, but it doesn't really give growth. Simplicity is where mastery lies. Simplicity is where growth lies. So today, I invite you to let go of FOMO. How hard is that? So hard, right? It's one of the hardest things to let go. Because what if I miss out? What if that was the secret to all the success I wanted in my life? What if, because we are so distracted, we are actually missing the secret of our success in life? That is just right here. So let go of that FOMO. Let go of that fear of missing out. You're not going to miss out anything. Your heart's there with you. Your intuition is there with you if you allow it. You know it's brown. You know it has claws and that it's a bear. Or bear, whatever's the right way to say it. Beer? Bear? Beer does not have claws. It just has alcohol. Look at you making fun of an accent, huh? Let go of complexity. Maybe it's time to embrace some simplicity in life. Maybe it's time to decide what you need to decide. Maybe it's time for you to hear what you really need to hear, which is the voice of your heart, is the voice of your soul. Maybe it's time to not worry about what you will miss out, but worry more about what you are missing out. Do you hear me? The second thing is expectations. Now, I asked you to dream a dream. I asked you to have the perfect day. And I also ask you to let go of that expectation. You see, the reason why we do Perfect Day, the reason why I appreciate us showing up here online or live here is because there is joy in this. Just this, for what is. There's joy in the journey. And if we can find the joy in our journey, we can let go of the expectation of a timeline. Because what needs to be created cannot be predicted in the timeline that it needs to be created with. See, some of you would recognize and think, oh, Ajit's so successful. People who know my story, at least, or somebody who might have saw the earlier part, might think, this guy is awesome. He knows what he's doing. No, I don't fucking know what I'm doing. And secondly, most of my success is credited to my wife. You may not know that. I might be on stage, but the girl that runs the show is her, which is true for every man, really, let's be honest. But every married man or person in a relationship, that's what I mean. But no, it's true. And I'm not just saying this to be nice to my wife. That's not what's the truth. The truth is that because of that person that is in my life, I was able to expand as a human being. I was able to challenge things that I couldn't challenge before. Even things like thinking I'm an introvert versus I'm just a person who likes and does not like things. And I can get comfortable with introversion or extroversion depending on my mood that day and the people I'm hanging out with. It changes everything the moment you stop putting those labels on yourself, isn't it? If the label didn't say introvert and extrovert, could you just be? Duh. If the label didn't say smart enough or not smart enough, could you just be? If the label didn't say experienced enough or not experienced enough, could you just be? If you are just being who you are, isn't that the best fucking version of yourself? See, my expectation was that I was a brilliant business strategist and one day, I'll become successful. But the way I got successful is because I'm a brilliant fucking human being and found another brilliant fucking human being that made me better every single day. I enjoyed the journey, and yes, I'm successful. The point is not the success. The point was the journey, and it still is the journey. So can we let go of the expectations? Because we can't make a plan to get to that dream. We can enjoy the journey to get to that dream. And lastly, this one's a hard one, I know. Can we let go of control? Can we accept for what is? See, a lot of times we want to hold on, we want to control, we want to make sure things happen in this particular way. And if we were to surrender to creation, however you want to call it, you may find that it has a very unique and different path, because here's the truth. Success of any person is more attributed to their personal development. Except for assholes, which is a different thing. We'll talk about it another day. But generally, it is attributed to your personal growth. The more you grow, the greater your returns, the greater your outcomes. Whatever dreams you have, the easier they become. But you can't control that growth. You can surrender to that growth. So can we let go of control? Can we let go of that control? Are we thinking about it? You're like, no, I don't want to let go of control because we want to know what happens next, right? We like certainty. We want certainty. But sometimes letting it go, letting go of that control is actually the greatest way to create more certainty in your life. Because the only certainty you really need is the uncertainty and the joy of uncertainty in our life. Okay? So now, as I say this, there might be a few things that are super present to you. There might be a few things you're like, I need to let go of blank. What do you need to let go of so you can finally fly? What do you need to let go of so you can finally fly? Let's take 30 seconds and make a note of that. Which brings me to the final D, and the final D is do. Final D is do. And once upon a time, there was this person, and he inherited a pomegranate farm. He inherited this beautiful pomegranate farm. He had a lot of pomegranates, and he was entrepreneurial in spirit. So he was like, oh, I have a pomegranate farm. I must figure out what to do with it. So he goes out to the market and he sees what is actually being sold in the marketplace. Because, we must do customer research, right? We must do customer research? Only me? Yes, right, we must do customer research, right? So he goes to the market, he says, let's see what's selling in the market, and he says, orange juice. He goes, orange juice is what is selling most in the market. The number one item, my friends, is orange juice. So he says, orange juice. I need to figure out how to sell orange juice. And so he goes back home and he thinks about how can I sell orange juice. He says, for orange juice, I must have orange plants, trees, whatever they are, but orange stuff. Right? I must get that. And so he goes, all right, I'm going to go grow some oranges. So he goes out in the market and says, how do you grow oranges? He finds the person who's selling orange juice. He's like, how do I grow oranges? He says, to grow oranges, you need orange seeds. So get some orange seeds, and then you grow oranges. He says, all right, I'm going to get orange seeds. And then he goes and he plants these orange seeds in his farm, in a corner that he has still left. And he plants these orange seeds, and he tries and tries and tries, and the orange seeds don't grow anything. So he goes and asks the farmer who has an orange farm, and he says, hey, I put in the seeds. The orange is not growing. The farmer comes, he tests the soil. He says, the soil's not right for these seeds. It won't grow here. So the person goes, oh, damn, what do I do? I need to sell orange juice. Because orange juice is the number one selling item in the market. He couldn't figure out. He thinks and he thinks and he thinks. Days go by, months go by, years go by. He thinks, I can't have a business because I don't have oranges and I can't sell orange juice. One day he goes back to the market, and now the number one selling item has become pomegranate juice. The point of the story is, a lot of the times we look at things outside and we think, that's what I need to do because that's in my visibility. That seems to be working. And we forget that we have something that could be working, if not now, then tomorrow. And sometimes it is working, maybe not to the same magnitude as this other thing that's working. Because very often we forget that we are complete right now. And we can do something with what we have. We can create with what we have. We don't have to worry about the best-selling item that is out there, because out there starts from in here. To recognize what you have and what you can do with what you have. And that's the key to creating and doing, which is our final D today. 52. The beautiful quote from John Wooden, which says, things work out best for those who make the best of how things work out. What you must not rely on is motivation. Motivation is fickle. System is what really helps. System is something that actually lasts because it's repetitive and it's certain. James Clear has this amazing quote, which is called, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you rise to the level of your systems. Right? That means you must have a system that reminds you of doing what you can with what you have. which is why I appreciate these 4 tenets of coaching that I want to give to you today. The first is what we already covered. It's vision. If you don't have a vision, you're not going to do. If you don't know where you're going, you can't get there. The clearer you are, the faster you manifest. The second is structure. That's what you're getting over the weekend. You're going to get a lot of structure about a lot of things. But you got to be mindful of always remembering that you are this unique being that can tap into some of these structures, and the other structures are orange juice. Okay? Third is community. Now, the good thing is you got a great community here, and the good thing is you got a great community out there for our virtual audience, so you can tap into community, because this creates constant mood to be in activity and create activity. And lastly, which you're blessed with over this weekend, is you're getting a lot of coaching and mentoring, because that's how you stay in the state of doing. But the question to always remember is, what can I do with what I have? What can I do with what I have? So what is it that you can do with what you have? Let's tap into that right now. The 3 things that come to your mind going, oh, I have this, this, and this is what I can do with it. Let's write that down right now. I'm going to give you about 90 seconds. That brings us to the 5 Ds of clarifying your dream career, right? And some of it you probably were able to do within the frame of time we had. Some of you will need a little bit more time, and that's okay. The first D that we discovered was dream. Dream a big, bold, but a believable dream. At least for now, from a place of love. Very important for it to be from a place of love, not fear. Second is to download. Know your end goal. Know your perfect day. Decide and direct. Make a decision. Any decision is better than indecision. Indecision is a decision to not make a decision, which effectively not make a movement towards our life that we want to create. Delete. Let go of parts that don't serve you anymore. And do. What can you do with what you have? What can you do with what you have? So we're going to go to the next level, which is to go, how do I practically make this real? How do I practically make all of this real? And what tends to happen, the tendency we have, and I had an online question around this as well, is we have a tendency to want to think that if I am creating something great, it must be complicated. Right? It can't be that simple. It's not possible. It cannot be this easy. Right? We have a tendency to lean into thinking that complexity is going to create a successful business. Complexity only satisfies curiosity. It inspires curiosity, and curiosity is amazing. We love curiosity. We want curiosity. But curiosity so we can simplify. Curiosity is not bad. Curiosity to complicate so we can feel, oh, that's why I don't have it. That's a problem. Simplicity, curiosity driving simplicity is what really creates growth. That's really what creates the success that you want to have. So what I'm going to present to you will sound incredibly simple. Because that is my zone of genius. I make things simple. It's not easy, but it's going to be simple. And it may at some point feel like it can't be this easy. But what I promise you is if you stick with it, if you go through this, if you answer the questions I ask you, honestly, it will become that simple. So I have only 4 questions for you, actually, that will create a really successful coaching career. What I can promise, mostly promise, is that it is enough for you to make your first $500,000, $500,000. Would that be cool? Would we like that? And it's totally possible. If anybody ever told you it needs to be more complicated than that, I will also tell you some stories of people who are making it happen already by doing whatever I'm about to share with you. It is not complicated. It's being told to you it's complicated. It's actually really simple. Right? The biggest problem is that while I will make it simpler, you would go, it can't be this simple. And so you will want to complicate it. But don't complicate it, and you will find success. I'm not telling the timeline you will create the income in, because that is subject to your ability to take action, right? Do we agree to that? Yes? Right? So I'll make it simple for you. How much time it will take is depending on A, will you do what you can with what you have? And B, the universe's plan for you to be able to have it in the timeline it needs to have it, because maybe you need to find certain other things and become somebody else before you can have it. Does that make sense? Say yes? Amazing. So let's get into the 4 simple questions that if you answer, you can create the career you want. Create the career you want being underlined. I'm saying yes, you can go up to $500,000 with these 4 questions, but that doesn't mean you want it. Everybody says they want it, but you don't actually want it. Ask your heart instead of listening to what I have to say. The more I inquire with coaches as to what is their dream number, what is the life they want to create, what is their perfect day look like, the more and more it is present to me that not everybody wants to be a millionaire. It sounds like a cool idea because that's a great headline, but a lot of us want to make $60,000 more than what we are making right now, and that would mean everything, because you'll get to live the life you want to live. 100,000 more, 30,000 more, $250,000 more, 200,000 more. So you don't have to make $500,000 more to live your perfect day. What's important is the journey, not the destination. If the destination you get to and you feel like shit, there is no point getting to that destination. Right? And that's why it's important for you to know what you really want, what your heart says, what is coming from a place of love. Not from other people's acceptance, not from somebody else telling you that, but what do you really want? So while I'll give you the map, I want you to be present to that dialogue within yourself of creating what you want, and find joy in creating what you want, not what other people want for you. Can we agree to that? Say yes? Yes. Amazing. So let's get into the first question that will help you create the world's simplest career model, I would say. Right? But it works. And that is, the first question is, who do you serve? Who do you serve? Incredibly easy question, right? Incredibly easy question. Who do you serve? Most of the time that I ask this question to anybody in the field of career and even outside businesses, most people cannot answer this question. Or their answer is the most general answer that a person can ever imagine. So they would go, you know what, I want to serve women in their 40s with their emotions. I want men to reconnect to their heart in their 50s. What does that mean? Who do you serve? Because the more specific you are or clear you are about who you serve, easier it becomes for you to answer the rest of the questions and actually create a business, actually create a career. See, a woman in 40s that has a business can be 2 different women, completely different needs. One could be living in New York, single woman, doesn't have a family, wants to create a business, is an entrepreneur, has the skill sets. Different strategies. Different coaching. Another woman lives in Ibiza, works from home, has a kid, maybe 2, is a single mother. Not the same strategies, not the same coaching, not the same places they hang out, not the kind of results, not the same kind of results they want. Completely different things. But what do we say? The most general, who do I serve? No. You need to be specific. Who do you really serve? And you got to commit to a category, a person, a type of person, even a persona, literally naming that persona, of who is it that you actually serve. And it's not only about asking who that person is, because there are certain sub-questions that you have to answer. You have to also know, do you know anyone in this category? If you say, I want to work with women who are single moms, do you know women who are single moms? Do they fit that criteria? Do you even know anyone? Or you just made up in your mind because you read a bunch of Instagram posts that told you those women need help? Because that's a lot of your categories. When I hear it, I was like, why do you want to help this one community? Oh, I see so many people are in trouble. I get it. Your heart's saying, I want to help them. But if you don't even know them, how are you going to help them? You don't even understand them. is like me reading your profile online and saying I can help you. I can't. I don't understand you. I don't even know you. So the first question to answer is, do you know people with this problem that you want to solve? The second is, do they have money? Unless you have a lot of money and you're doing this for totally, no money at all, which is fine. But if this is a career and you want to get paid, the people you serve need to have money for you to get paid. So when somebody tells me I want to help young entrepreneurs at 22 years of age who are starting their first business, my question is, who's funding it? Because if they are not funded, you are not funded for helping them either. So you can do it when you're really successful as a coach, and yes, now you can help the 22-year-old who wants to start their business because you don't need to get paid. You can just ask equity in their company if you really want to get paid eventually when they're successful. But until that time, if you still have to pay bills, how are you going to get paid? So do they have money? And it's important also to answer that question because it defines how much money are you going to get paid. If they got no money or they got little money, you can't say I'm going to charge them 100 grand because they don't have 100 grand. And they're not going to just give it to you because you're an awesome coach, in case you thought that would happen. Does it make sense? Yes? Third and very important question is, they may have a problem, you may know them, they may have money, but they may not want to pay you money to solve that problem. Because the problem is not big enough. So it's not only important to solve the problem, but solve a problem that is important enough for the person that they will say, I am willing to pay you money, my hard-earned money, because this hurts. This is making sense. And most important question of all is, don't just choose based on the first three criteria, choose based on if you can actually solve the problem. Can you actually solve this person's problem? Because when you solve problems, the client wants to keep working with you. The greatest business strategy is to not focus on the marketing, is to focus on the product. Because when it works, people want to keep working with you. And when your clients want to keep working with you, you don't have to keep looking for clients. Right? When you like someone, and some of you I know really like me because you've taken 3 certifications with me or more, especially the people who are live here, is you must say, this guy knows what the fuck he's talking about, right? Right? That's why you're like, I'll do another one with him. I'm buying whatever he's selling. It's not because I'm a great marketer. I'm clearly not. I'm awesome overall. Let's leave that alone, of course. People online are like, who's this idiot? But you get my sense of humor, so I'm in safe place. Point being, can you solve this problem? Right? Because the more likely, faster you can solve the problem for your clients, the more your clients want to work with you. Another huge myth people have, oh, but I work with these people, and if I solve the problem, I shouldn't coach them. No, if you're good at what you do, the person says, how can I work with you again? Can you solve this other problem I have? That's what a great coach is. A great coach is not where they say, I can only solve this problem, and if I've solved this problem, then I should never see you again in your life. No. Who are we? We are talking to human beings, right? Do human beings want to get better every single day? Do you want to get better every single day? If you are like that, so are your clients. And who is better to get better with every single day than the people we like? If you like a particular coach, if you like a particular author, you want to buy their second book and the third book and the 10th book that they sell because you like what they're serving. And that's how coaching is done as well. Your clients should want to work with you again. You should have an intention of saying, I will serve so much and so well that they say, whatever next you're doing, I'm in. That's when you're a great coach. Right? So do you know answers to these questions? Do you know who you serve? And more importantly, do you know people who are in that category? Do you know if they have money? Do they know if they're willing to pay money for this? And do you know if you can solve this problem? And if you have the answers to these questions, you will know who to serve. And can you actually serve them, and will it actually make you any money? Right? Say yes if you understand that. Also, let's have a moment of honesty. How many of us have not answered these questions for ourselves? On the chat, say, raise your hand, me. But 60% of this room does not know answers to these questions. That's not a bad thing. Firstly, thank you for the honesty. The remaining 40%, thank you for not telling the truth. But it's a difficult question to answer. It seems really easy, but often it is not an easy question to answer, because it's many subcategories really clarifying. And most importantly, it is you saying yes to one thing and saying everybody else I'm not going to talk to. And your heart doesn't want that. Right? As a coach, you're a heart-centered person, most likely. For the matter, every human being is heart-centered if they really listen. So as a coach, you're definitely tuned into your heart, which means you want to help someone, and everyone if you can. But the way to create a successful career is to decide one category, one set of people that you're going to help, and unfortunately, at least for now, ignore everybody else. For now. Eventually, you'll get to a place where you can maybe take 2, 3, 4 different kinds of people. But for now, it has to be this one person, and you got to dedicate everything to it. So for the people who said yes and for the people who said no, I want you to write down 21 problems that you solve. 21 problems for your potential client that you solve. If it's not 21, if it's 20, it's fine. If it's 15, it's fine. If it's 5, it's fine. But 21 problems. 21 problems that you can solve for your clients. Let's write that down. I'm going to give you 2 minutes for it. As you find more and more answers to these questions that we talked about today, you will find that actually there's more than 21 problems that you potentially can solve for your clients. And the more problems you can solve for your clients, the more clear it gets on how you will talk to your clients. That's the reason why we identify these problems. That's the reason why we focus on what's the problem I solve? Can I actually solve this problem? Do they have money to solve this problem? Do they even want to solve this problem? It's just one of the many things they have in life they don't really care about. Right? The clearer you get, the easier it is for you to find these people. Which brings me to the second question. Do you know where they hang? Where do your clients hang? Where are they? Where are they hanging out? Where are they having conversations about their challenges or problems? Where is it that they're really interacting with other people that may be helping them with their problems and challenges? Where do they hang? And I want to share a perspective that often I see us do as coaches. You know, we go to places where people are not necessarily interested in what we are about to offer, and we decide, because of that reason, what we do doesn't work. It's almost like opening a butcher shop at a vegan exposition and saying, nobody's buying meat. Why is nobody buying meat? Well, nobody's buying meat because you're at the wrong place, my friend. You're selling something that nobody wants to buy at that place. And that tends to be a tendency for a lot of us. We go to places, we start making or talking to people about who we are or what we do, but these places have no audience that actually is interested in what you're about to offer. So you got to first ask the question, where am I going to find these people? They're not going to come to you at your house, by the way, if that was one of the things that you were thinking happens, right? You're not going to find that place the first time you use the word coach either. We know that, right? Yes? Right? But we do that to ourselves. We tell ourselves, oh, I've talked to 10 people. Nobody said yes. 10 random people you talked to didn't want your offer. Big deal. Of course they don't want to get your offer. You are a butcher shop in the middle of a vegan expo. You're going to the wrong place. You're talking to 10 random people. Of course they don't want what you're selling. Talk to relevant people. And not just 10, maybe 100 before you say it doesn't work. right? And it's not necessarily true that you have to have thousands of followers or thousands of conversations to have. And I want to give you some examples of people and some examples of places where you can find clients. And people that are, I think Joy is not in the room, but I'm going to tell her story irrespective. Oh, are you back there? Okay, cool. So I'm going to tell the story of this girl. Joy, can you come where people can see you a little bit, just so they can see who you are? So 3 places that I'm going to tell you where you can find clients that where you will make 6 figures if you do it consistently long enough in a proper way, right? And if you find the right people. So Jue is one of our graduates. She's also now one of the hosts of some of our programs. And Jue is somebody who, give it up for Jue. So Jue is somebody that when she had 300 followers, right? So not a lot of people, just committed to saying, I am going to find clients on social media. That was the commitment at that time. Now she finds it in many different ways. This is about a year-old story. But she said, I'm going to find clients on social media. She had 300 followers. There's no reason for her to believe that she can find clients there. But what she committed to was that I'm going to go every day and I'm going to talk about the stuff I want to talk about. And I'm going to connect with people on what I want to connect with. And lo and behold, I think it took 3 months or 4 months, something like that, where she had one of the followers send her a message saying, I really like the stuff that you talk about. Can we talk more? And in a few months or few weeks from then, she signed her first $160,000 client, right? 6 months later, she was able to sign a $160,000 client. Thank you, Joy. Yeah. So you could find clients on social media even if you have 300 followers. But the question is, are your clients hanging out there? Not everybody's clients are like Shoaib's, right? But the point I'm trying to make is it doesn't matter how many followers you have. If you know what you're doing, if you know who you're serving, how you're serving them, because then you can have contextual conversation to that. You can find clients on your phone. You can find clients on your email list. You can find clients on existing social media. They are right now in your network. Most of us think they're not, but they are. That's why it's important to remember that you have lived a life. There are people you knew that could be your friend, that could be your clients, and you don't even remember them. There's a very big possibility that that is the truth of you right now. But you got to look. Another person sitting right up here, Aarti, I'm going to tell your story next. So Aarti is somebody, Aarti, stand up. Let's give it up for Aarti. And Aarti is somebody who went out, and I actually literally call it the Aarti method now because of the way she gets clients. I'll tell you how she does it. It's amazing. Basically, she said, I am going to find clients within the network of people that I already work with. Right? She's in IT. Did I say it right? Yeah. She's in technology. She said, I'm just going to work with companies that are in technology because I already know what they do and how they get results, and I just want to coach them and so on and so forth. So she would write an email to companies, other companies, saying, hey, I offer these kind of services. Do you know someone that would be interested? This is genius, by the way. You can use this. Because what she's doing is she's making an offer without actually making an offer. She's saying, here are the problems that tech companies have. You are a tech company yourself. But I'm asking you if you have a friend who has this problem. And what does the person do? They say, I have the problem. A friend of a friend often is a great client that you can have. A friend of a friend can be a great client that you can have. Aarti generated, I think, $350,000, at least that's what I remember of her number. That's correct? Yeah, $350,000 by just using her existing network of colleagues. Again, there's a friend of your friend is usually or potentially a client you might have. Does that make sense? Right? We are not tapping into these things. We are not being present to my phone book, to my email addresses that I have or people I have met. I'm not being present, or most of us are not present to. I've already done work in a company. I might know people. Those people might know people. You don't need an exhaustive marketing strategy. You need a marketing strategy. My first few clients and first $500,000 was generated as a coach. Not now. Now it's different. But of course, initially was created simply by going to non-industry events What is a non-industry event? Non-industry event is I would not go to a coaching conference. I'm a coach. I don't go to a coaching conference to find clients because I wasn't enrolling coaches at that time. I would go to a conference that was very specific to another industry. So a tech conference. There's very few coaches out there. An e-commerce conference. Whatever different category of conference that I'm like, I am working with businesses in the range of 1 to 3 million. I was really clear of who I wanted to work with. 1 to 3 million, wanted to get to 10 million in the next 3 years. I want to work with you. That's it. And the things that we'll work on is leadership, team, and making sure that you know how to build products. That's it. There's nothing else I was doing. But I could generate $500,000 just by talking to people, by going to events that were non-industry. Not for my education. I was going literally to engage clients. We all have that in our neighborhood, by the way. There are forums in our neighborhood where we could find our next potential client. Does that make sense? Yes? You see, if you know where they hang out, it's much easier to have a conversation with them. It's way easier to enroll them because they are literally there and you're the only coach, or maybe 1 in 3 coaches and 300 people. Right? A lot of us think people don't want coaching because guess the conferences we go to. Or personal development conferences. Who do you think goes to those conferences? Other coaches. So while there are thousands online thinking that, oh, coaching is everywhere, and hundreds here thinking coaching is everywhere, it is not. It is not even close to how many coaches we need versus number of coaches who claim they are coaches. It's not even close. Enrollment is so easy. Engagement is so easy when you're not talking to coaches. And when you are not in your bubble saying, oh, everybody's a coach these days. No, they are not. If that would be the case, the world will be an amazing place. Don't you think? Do you see the energy here? Every conference will look like this. Every event will look like this. Everybody having a great time, laughing, smiling, partying, not judging each other. That's not the world we live in. What are you talking about? I hope we had more coaches in the world. If we stop telling ourselves there are enough coaches in the world, maybe we will. There are not nearly as many coaches we need in the world. There's not nearly enough people enrolled with coaches that we need in the world. So ask yourself, where do they hang? Where do your clients hang? And you don't need many places. You don't need many followers. You don't need thousands of dollars of investment in some marketing strategy to be able to get there. Because just 1, 2, 3, 4 more clients can help you get to that next spot that you need to get to. That'll get you paid so your career gets started. You don't have to become full-time at this either. Because your strategy is simple. You think you need to be full-time because your strategy is complicated. When your strategy is simple, you go, I go to 4 industry events over the whole year, and I enroll 5 clients at $20,000 each. That's $100,000 that we just did. Okay, I can't charge 20 grand, Ajit, you're crazy. I can only charge 5. Okay. I go to 4 industry events. I charge 5 grand. I get 10 clients because it's cheaper. I hopefully will get more. That's $50,000 extra from whatever you're doing. You didn't even have to quit what you were doing. Simple is better. Simple is doable. When it's complicated, we get in our heads, oh, I need to have these 17,000 funnels, and then I need to get a lead magnet for this one, and no. No, you don't need that. You may need that at some point when you're doing millions and millions in revenue, but your first 100 grand, your first 300 grand doesn't need a complicated strategy. Simpler is better. Simpler is faster. Simpler will actually get you the result instead of thinking about the result. And would we like that? Get a result instead of thinking about it? Say yes? Yes. So that's the next question, which is where do they hang? And then comes the next question, which is how do you serve them? You know, if you have ever gone to a soup place, like a soup kitchen, that does not have bowls to serve soups, have you ever been to one? Somebody has been. A soup place, a soup kitchen that does not have soup bowls for you. That is a soup bowl made out of bread. Like, Who's the smart ass? It's still a bowl made out of bread. The point I'm trying to make is you don't go to such a soup kitchen because there is none like that. But that sometimes is your coaching practice, isn't it? If I ask you what's your package, how you serve them, you go, well, it depends. No, it doesn't depend. You don't want to decide. It doesn't depend, especially when you're starting out. There's only 3 ways we work with you. There's only 1 way I work with you. There's only 5 ways I work with you. 5's too many, but still there's only 5 ways, even if there are 5 ways I work with you. But you got to decide. It does not depend. It depends when you're wildly successful, because then your fees is $250,000 a year. Then it depends. But if your package price is no more than $30,000, no, it doesn't depend. That's you telling yourself that story so you can get out of actually making a decision. It doesn't depend. It's the same package again and again. I'm going to give you a format of deciding. This is just one of the formats of deciding. The simpler you pick, the better it is. I'm not saying do all of them, okay? You don't have to do all of this stuff. You can do one of them, and you can get successful on your own terms. All right? I'll explain this chart, okay? So first of all, on the top is one-off assessments and coaching. I'm running out of time. One-off assessments and coaching, which is basically you'll say, I'm going to do an assessment with you. I'm going to coach you for 60 to 90 minutes. It could be anywhere between $200 to $1,000, right? It is a very... It's a complicated thing to deliver because it's just a lot that you have to do, or it's actually easier to deliver, but it's just really little price point wise, and it is not so complex either, right? But in-person immersion, which is 3 to 12 hours in an immersion, $2,000 to $20,000 per session, right? It depends on how much you are able to say yes to, or with confidence give your price point. One-on-one weekly coaching. This could happen over an extended period of time, 60 to 90 minutes weekly, 3 months to 12 months. You can charge anywhere between $3,000 to $30,000. It depends on what you're getting as a result to your client. Okay? And then there's group coaching or mastermind, which is 60 to 90 minutes weekly group coaching, $1,000 to $10,000 per client, 3 to 6 months. Right? You can pick any one of them. Close your eyes and, like my son, pick one. Works. No, it does. Any of it works, but pick something. It will have increased level of complexity. Of course, if you do a group mastermind, it's way more complex than doing a one-off session. Right? So complexity increases as you go down, and the ease of delivery often decreases as you go up. Okay? Make sense? Say yes? Yes. Pick one, but pick something. How do you serve them? How often do you serve them? This is one of those things that we don't think about as much. I want to give you a metaphorical example to understand what I mean here. So imagine you were a hot dog cart right under Colosseum. Will you have a lot of clients? Right? You'll have a lot. No? If you were a hot dog cart under Colosseum, it's a high footfall place, tourist spot. Will you have a lot of clients? Yes. Will they be high value clients? No. Will they remember you? Right? But that's how we operate sometimes as coaches. Where do I go where there's the most number of clients, and what can I serve at the cheapest piece possible so they can say yes? Instead, you want to be a restaurant that is hidden a little bit. It has a set menu. You don't get the cheapest stuff, you get the highest quality stuff. And you come back again and again and again because now you remember the restaurant you had that particular pasta or that particular pizza or whatever that is that they served. How often do you serve your client? You can be a hot dog cart and get clients really quickly by $200 sessions. Or you can be a classy Italian restaurant where the meal does cost them a little bit more, but boy, do they remember it. Boy, do they come back to it and they tell their friends about it too. How often do you serve your clients? Don't be the hot dog cart. Don't try to serve the simplest, cheapest package you can get most clients for. Be a fine dining restaurant. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay, awesome. So you want to mix your delivery methods to be able to do that. You don't want to just have one model that you deliver to your clients. Again, it might not be possible, especially if you haven't even gotten started. But if you have gotten started, you have one package already, you have one something that you have made available, mix it up. Give them more offers. You serving your clients more in different ways is better for your clients. It's a disservice to your client when you tell your client, I don't have anything else for you, and they have to go out in the world and test out under the coach that they have no camaraderie with. It'll take them so much longer to actually get a result with them because first they have to now like them. They already like you. Help them win a little bit more. Help them win a little bit more. Here is a way to kind of think about it. Again, you can choose by closing your eyes and saying, these are the two. My son's given you a great technique today. It's called intuition. You have it. No, not funny? Okay, I tried. But there are some formats. You could do it in any other way, but these are easy formats that you can literally take a photo of and say, I'm going to do these two, right? Especially if they're congruent with you. You can change the leadership workshop to something else based on your market and your particular focus. Is this making sense? Say yes. People online, if it's making sense, type whoa or yes something so we know that you're in and you're understanding what we're talking about. Cool. So 4 questions that you're going to answer for yourself. First, who do I serve? Second, where do they hang? Third, how do you serve them? And fourth, how often do you serve them? And that gives us, arguably, oh, sorry, the fourth one didn't go up. Here it is. Arguably the simplest coaching career model that you can have. It's a single statement. Single statement that says, I help X clients who engage and enroll from Y places, this is where they hang out, as they have Z problems that can be solved using A, B, C method. Model, sorry, not method. You answer that question for yourself, and you have your business model. Does that sound simple? Yeah. Does that sound simple? Yeah. Or we are still thinking about it? Too simple sometimes, right? It looks unreasonably simple. It feels like, how can it be? But if you try and answer these questions this weekend, if you get close enough to this statement and knowing the answer to these questions and knowing the statement, I promise you in 6 months, you'll be making 6 figures. If you do the work, of course, that is always the caveat, right? Not just, I'm thinking about it, I thought about it, Ajit, I said, you said, if you dream a dream, it is going to be possible. Yeah, you got to do, right? But if you do the part, which is saying, I know exactly where they hang out, I'm going to go hang out there. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to tell them, here are the 3 ways I solve your problem. I know exactly what your problem is, and I'm confident I can solve it. Here's the price for it. There is no reason for them to say no. Because all they have to do is decide if they want to invest that in themselves, and that's it. If you have 100 or 200 such conversations, you're good. But you got to have those conversations. You got to show up where they show up. You got to help them solve the problem. You got to say you want to help them solve the problem. Business is not complicated. I've built enough of them to know that business is actually fucking simple. Well, we make it complicated because we love complicated. So if you want to have a successful career in coaching, ask yourself, you'd rather chase the complexity and curiosity of complexity, or chase the curiosity and choose simplicity? The simpler you make your business, the faster it will grow. The simpler you make your coaching career, the faster it will grow. So simplify, simplify, simplify. And that would be my invitation for you for the next 3 days on how much you can simplify so you can create the dream career that you want to create. Thank you.